John sat in the small dark room of his rented apartment. The old fan above his head made a tired sound, and the street outside was full of noise. But inside the room was only silence. He was a man with too many problems. Bills he could not pay, a job he had lost, and a future that looked empty. He never thought his life would change, not in one single night. But fate has a strange way of choosing people, and that night, fate chose him. The knock on the door came soft, almost like a whisper. John looked up, surprised because he never had visitors. When he opened the door, he saw her, a woman who did not look like anyone from his world. Her eyes were bright silver, her hair looked like a flowing river of light. Her face was beautiful but also strange, too perfect, too smooth. She smiled, but it was not a normal smile. It felt practiced, like someone trying to learn human emotion. She said in a calm voice, "Are you John?" John's heart jumped. How did she know his name? "Yes," he answered slowly, still holding the door. "Do I know you?" "No," she said, "but I know you, and I need you." John almost laughed. He thought maybe she was crazy, or maybe part of a scam, but something about her presence made him freeze. Her eyes shined like stars, her clothes looked like silver glass, and her voice carried power. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. John wanted to stop her, but his body refused to move. She sat on his old wooden chair and looked around the broken room. Then she turned her eyes back to him. "I will pay you money, more than you ever dreamed, but in return, you must play a role for me." John blinked. "What role?" She leaned closer. "My husband." For a moment, John thought he misheard. He laughed nervously. "Excuse me, what?" "You will pretend to be my husband," she repeated, her voice firm. "I need this and you need the money. It is simple." John shook his head. "Lady, this is crazy. I don't even know you and you don't even look—" He stopped. He wanted to say she didn't look human, but his words died. The woman tilted her head. "You are correct. I am not from your world, but that is not important now. What matters is that you agree, and if you agree, your life will change forever." John stared at her, his throat dry. He whispered, "You mean, you're alien?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, and no time for long talk. The truth is simple. I am in danger, and I need protection. In my world, a woman with a husband is safe. Without one, she is a target. I chose you because you are human, and humans are rare, powerful in ways aliens do not understand. Your presence by my side will make enemies hesitate." John sat down, his hands shaking. He thought of the money. He thought of the empty fridge, the landlord's angry voice, the cold nights ahead. He thought of his broken life, but then he thought of the danger he could not even imagine. He looked at her again. She sat so calm, like she already owned the place, her silver eyes glowing, her hand holding a small case. She opened it. Inside was money, more money than John had ever seen in his life. Neat stacks, shining, promising escape from misery. "All this," she said, "if you agree tonight." John felt his chest heavy. "Why me? Why not someone else?" "Because you are invisible in your world," she answered. "No one will miss you, no one will question. You can disappear with me, and no one will look. That is why you are perfect." The words cut deep, because they were true. John had no family, no friends close, no one who cared. He was invisible, and now this strange woman, this alien, offered him a chance to be something else, to matter. "Still," his mind screamed. "This is insane," but his heart whispered, "This may be your only chance." The woman stood, her shadow tall against the wall. "Time is short. My enemies are near. Decide now." John swallowed hard. The room felt smaller. The sound of the street outside faded. It was only her voice, only her glowing eyes, only the offer. Finally, he nodded, slow but firm. "All right, I'll do it." The woman smiled. This time her smile looked real, soft, almost human. She stepped closer and touched his arm. "Good choice, John. From this moment, your old life is gone. Your new life begins." John felt a cold shiver. Not of fear, but of the unknown. He knew nothing would ever be the same. He had just sold his life to an alien stranger in exchange for money and survival, and maybe, just maybe, something far greater. Outside, the night grew darker. The city lights dimmed, and above the sky, hidden by clouds, a ship waited, ready to carry John away from Earth, and into a world where danger, mystery, and destiny would test him in ways he never imagined. And so, the strange deal was made, and the game had begun. The night was heavy with silence when John followed the alien woman out of his small apartment. She carried no luggage, no bag, only herself and the strange silver case that still glowed faintly in her hand. John's heart was beating fast. His mind kept asking if he had made the biggest mistake of his life. but his feet kept moving. They walked through the empty streets. The city looked normal. Neon lights flickered. Cars moved. People passed by without care. No one knew that John was walking beside someone not from this world. No one knew that the thin woman with silver eyes was carrying him toward a new fate. Finally, they reached a dark alley. The woman stopped. She turned to him and whispered, "Stay close. Do not speak. Do not run. What you see will frighten you, but you must stay." Before John could reply, a sound filled the alley, deep and strange, like thunder mixed with music. Above them, the clouds split, and from the darkness a shape came down. It was a ship, but not like anything human. It was smooth like glass. Glowing lines moved across its surface like veins of light. It made no noise as it hovered, only a quiet hum that shook the ground. John froze, his mouth open, his brain refused to believe. This is real, he thought. Aliens are real, and I am walking into their world. The woman touched a mark on her wrist, and a door opened in the side of the ship. A ramp of pure light stretched down. She looked at him, her voice firm. "Walk." John's legs felt heavy, but he forced them to move. Each step up the glowing ramp felt like walking into a dream. When he entered the ship, the air changed. It smelled clean, sharp, like metal and rain. The walls pulsed with soft colors. The floor shifted under his feet as if alive. Inside, tall figures waited. They were not human. Their skin shined like bronze. Their eyes glowed like burning fire. Their heads were long, their movements smooth like water. They looked at John with confusion, some with anger. The alien woman raised her hand, speaking in a language John could not understand. The sound was like singing mixed with static. The tall figures answered. Some nodded, some frowned, but they moved aside, letting her pass. She walked with calm steps, but John could feel the tension, the way the tall alien stared at him like he was an insect, a joke, an insult. His heart wanted to escape, but her hand touched his shoulder, steady, strong. "Remember," she whispered, "you are my husband now. Hold your head high." John tried. He lifted his chin, but sweat ran down his neck. His mind screamed, "I am a fraud." Yet he kept walking. The ship moved without sound. The walls shifted, showing the stars outside. Earth grew smaller. John's breath caught in his throat. He had left his planet behind, his old life now a memory. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt strange inside the ship. The walls opened again, showing a sight that stole John's breath. A city in the sky, floating above a dark planet. Towers of crystal rose high. Bridges of light connected them. Ships like silver birds flew between them. The whole city glowed like a living jewel. "This is my home," the alien woman said softly. "Welcome to Orath," John whispered. "It's beautiful, but also terrifying." The ship entered the city, landing on a platform that shined like glass. Alien guards stood waiting, their weapons glowing, their faces cold. John felt their eyes cut through him. The woman held his hand suddenly, her grip warm but firm. "Do not fear," she said. "As long as you are with me, no one can harm you, but you must play your role. Do not stumble, do not act weak. They are watching." John nodded, though his stomach twisted. They walked through tall gates into a hall that stretched endlessly. Golden light poured from the ceiling, and strange symbols glowed on the floor. Alien beings filled the hall, tall, powerful, elegant, all staring at John. Whispers rose, voices sharp and questioning. One alien stepped forward, his body covered in armor that looked alive, his voice cold. "What is this? A human?" The woman stood tall, her silver eyes shining. "This is my husband," she said in a strong voice. "He is mine, and I am his." Gasps filled the hall. Some laughed, some hissed, others whispered angrily. John felt the heat of their eyes like knives cutting into him. He wanted to run, but her hand stayed on his, steady like stone. The armored alien stepped closer, his glowing eyes on John. "A human among us? Do you mock our laws?" John's heart pounded. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but the woman squeezed his hand, warning him. "Silence," she whispered, without moving her lips. The alien stared at John for a long time, then turned away. "We will see how long this deception lasts," he said coldly. The hall erupted in whispers. The woman pulled John aside, guiding him through the hall, her face calm but her eyes burning with fire. "Listen to me," she said in a low voice. "This city is full of enemies. They will test us. They will try to break us, but you must not break. If you do, we are both dead." John's chest tightened. He had agreed to pretend, but this was no simple game. He was standing in the middle of alien power, where one wrong move could end his life. As they left the hall, John looked back once more, hundreds of alien eyes still on him, cold, judging, waiting for him to fail. And for the first time, he understood the truth. This was not just a deal for money. This was survival. This was war hidden under smiles, and he had just stepped into the battlefield. The game had begun, and there was no turning back. The grand hall of Orath was filled with light, but the light was cold. The walls glowed like crystal, and high above, floating shapes cast long shadows. John stood beside the alien woman, his supposed wife, his hand still in hers, every eye in the room fixed on him. The air was heavy with whispers, soft but sharp, words spoken in a language John did not know, yet he could feel the tone, anger, disbelief, laughter, and fear. He was not just a stranger here, he was an intruder. The alien woman stepped forward, her silver eyes bright, her voice calm but strong. Yes, he is human. Yes, he is my husband, and yes, he belongs at my side. Gasps echoed across the hall. Some aliens laughed, others hissed. One tall alien with emerald skin leaned forward, his mouth curling. Impossible. Humans are weak. Humans are nothing. How can one of us lower herself to this shame? The woman did not move, her face like stone. You forget, she said. It is not weakness. To choose differently, it is strength. John stood silent, his throat dry. He wanted to hide, but he remembered her warning. Do not stumble, do not act weak. So he stood taller, trying to look calm, though inside he was shaking. The armored alien from before raised his voice. Prove it. Prove this human is not a fraud. Let him stand before the council. Let him show he belongs. The crowd roared in agreement, their voices crashing like waves. John felt his knees weaken, but the woman's grip on his hand tightened. Do not fear, she whispered. Follow me. She led him forward to a raised platform. The eyes of the council burned down from their golden seats. Ancient beings older than his world, creatures of fire and stone, beings who had seen empires fall, and now they judged him. A simple human man, the oldest counselor, a figure with a face hidden in shadow, spoke, his voice deep like thunder. You bring a human here, into our hall, into our laws. Why? The woman bowed her head, but not too low. Her voice rang clear. Because a husband gives me right, because a husband gives me safety, and because this human is mine. The council murmured, their glowing eyes flickered. The shadowed figure asked, does he understand the bond? Does he know the weight of what you claim? John's chest tightened. The woman looked at him, her eyes sharp, warning him to answer. Yes, John said, his voice shaking at first but growing stronger. I understand. I stand with her. She is my wife. I am her husband, and nothing will break that. The words hung in the air. The hall fell silent, then broke into chaos. Some shouted in anger, others laughed in disbelief. But John stood firm, surprising even himself. The counselor in shadow raised his hand. Silence returned. Very well, he said. If he claims the bond, then he must wear the mark. From the floor, a glowing symbol rose, burning red, a circle with sharp lines. It hovered in the air, alive with power. John felt heat on his skin, his heart raced. What is that? He whispered. The woman leaned closer. It is the bond mark. Once placed, it cannot be broken. It will make our lie truth. It will bind us in their eyes, but it will also bind you to me, forever. John swallowed hard. Forever. The word echoed in his mind. He had agreed for money, for survival, not for forever, but now he had no choice. The council watched in silence, waiting. The mark floated closer, fire and light. John's instinct screamed to run, but he stood still. The woman raised his hand, pressed it into the symbol. The fire burned, pain shot through him, but he did not cry out. He clenched his teeth, his skin seared with the mark, glowing red, then fading into silver, a part of him now. The hall gasped. The counselor in shadow leaned forward. It is done. The human is bound. The lie is now truth. John's breath came heavy. Sweat covered his face, but he looked at his hand, the silver mark shining faintly. He was no longer only pretending. He was part of her world now. The alien woman turned to the hall, her voice steady. Now you see, he is not a fraud. He is my husband. The crowd erupted again, but weaker. Doubt mixed with fear. The counselor in shadow raised his hand once more. It is accepted, but know this, human. You have enemies here. Your presence is a threat to many, and threats are often removed. John felt the warning like a blade, but he nodded, hiding his fear. As they left the hall, the woman whispered, You did well. You stood strong, but this is only the beginning. They will not stop. They will test you again and again. You must be ready. John looked at her, anger and fear mixing inside him. You didn't tell me about this bond. You didn't tell me it was forever. She stopped, her eyes cold but also sad. Would you have agreed if I did? John said nothing. The truth was clear. He would have run, but now he was trapped, tied to her by fire and silver. The city outside the hall glowed bright, but for John, the light felt like prison bars. He had entered a world of lies and power, and now the grand deception had begun. And in his heart, one question burned. Would the deception destroy him, or would it make him something more? The silver mark on John's hand still burned, even as he walked beside the alien woman through the glowing streets of Orath. The city was alive with color. Towers of crystal reached the skies. Bridges of light carried beings with strange shapes. Ships moved like birds between the towers. But to John, none of it looked beautiful anymore. It looked like a cage. Everywhere they walked, eyes followed him. Whispers rose in every corner. Aliens stared at the human man with suspicion, some with anger, others with cold amusement. John felt like he was standing in the middle of a stage, every move judged, every breath a mistake waiting to happen. Finally, the woman led him into a tall structure. The walls shimmered like water. Inside it was quiet, a private place. Away from the stairs, John pulled his hand free from hers, his voice sharp. "You tricked me. You said I only had to pretend, but you burned this mark into me. You bound me forever." The woman turned, her silver eyes calm but heavy. "I did not lie. I only did not tell everything. If I told you the full truth, you would have refused, and I could not risk that." John's fists clenched, anger boiling. "You used me, yes," she said without fear. "But I also saved you. If you walked into that hall without the bond, they would have killed you at once. The mark made them accept you, at least for now." John's anger faltered, replaced by cold fear. "Killed me, just like that." She nodded. "They see you as a threat, because you are human, because you are unpredictable, because your kind is rare in this galaxy. They do not understand you, and what Hey, do not understand, they fear." John sank into a glowing chair, his body heavy. "Why me? Why not one of your own? Why not another alien husband?" The woman looked away, her voice softer. "Because my people play games of power. Every husband, every wife, every bond is a weapon in politics. I could not trust one of my own. They would betray me. They would use me. I needed someone outside the game, someone invisible, someone they could not predict." John stared at her. "So you bought me, a desperate human from Earth, because I was easy." Her eyes returned to him, sharp. "No, not only easy, valuable. You do not see it yet, but humans are different. You are stronger than you know, not in muscle, not in weapons, but in spirit. Your kind refuses to bow. You adapt, you fight when you should fall, and that is why I chose you." Her words cut through his anger, leaving only confusion. "You think I'm strong, I'm broke, I'm nobody. I was nothing before you came." She stepped closer, her voice low. "And yet you stood in the hall of the council with death all around you, and you did not run. You faced them, you spoke, and your words shook them. That is human strength. That is why you are not nothing." John felt his chest tighten. He remembered the moment. The fire of the bond, the eyes of the aliens, his own voice declaring loyalty. He had been terrified, but he had not broken. Maybe she was right. Maybe humans were different. "Still," he whispered, "you're putting me in danger for your games." The woman's eyes softened. For the first time, her voice carried a hint of sorrow. "It is not only a game, John. It is survival. Without you, I would be destroyed. My enemies would tear me apart. I am not safe in this city, not even in my own home. And now, with you, I have a shield. I have something they cannot fight directly. Because to fight you, a human, would risk more than We are ready to lose," John frowned. "Risk what?" She hesitated, then whispered, "The secret of humans. The truth that your kind does not yet know, but the galaxy does. Your people are feared because you are young, but dangerous. History tells them this. Wherever humans go, they change everything. They win battles they should lose. They rise when others fall, and that frightens them more than warships, more than weapons. They fear the human spirit." John sat frozen, her words echoing in his head. Feared, dangerous, unpredictable. He had never thought of himself like that. He was just a man who needed rent money, but now he was something else, a symbol. The woman leaned closer, her voice like steel. "That is the secret, John. That is why I chose you. Not because you are weak, but because you are human, and that is power enough." Silence filled the room. John's anger was gone, but fear and wonder replaced it. He felt small, yet larger than he had ever been. He looked at her. "What happens now?" She turned toward the glowing window, the city shining outside. "Now the tests begin. My enemies will not stop. They will try to expose us. They will try to break you. They will try to turn me against you, and if we fail, we both die." John swallowed hard. His hand touched the silver mark still warm on his skin, a mark that bound him not only to her, but to a war he barely understood. For the first time, he realized the truth. This was no simple deal anymore, no simple act for money. He was part of something vast, something dangerous, something that would decide not only his fate, but maybe the future of two worlds. The secret was revealed, and it was heavier than he could carry, yet there was no turning back. The city of Orath shined like a jewel in the endless night, but for John, the light no longer looked safe. It looked sharp, like blades waiting in the dark. Every tower, every glowing bridge, every alien eye seemed to hide danger. After the council had accepted the bond, John thought the worst was over, but he was wrong. The woman's words echoed in his head. They will test you, they will try to break us, and already, he could feel the weight of those words. The first sign came at a feast. The hall was filled with alien nobles, their bodies glowing with strange energy, their voices smooth but sharp. Food was laid out on shining tables, fruits that pulsed with light, meat that shimmered like glass, drinks that smoked with silver mist. The alien woman sat tall, her hand resting calmly near John's. She smiled at the others, but her eyes stayed alert. John tried to act normal, to look like a husband proud of his place, but his stomach twisted. A servant placed a golden cup before him. The liquid inside swirled like fire, sweet smell rising from it. John reached for it, but the woman's hand snapped forward, stopping him, her voice low. "Do not drink." She took the cup herself, raising it to the light. Her silver eyes narrowed, then she placed it back, untouched. The room fell quiet for a moment, whispers spreading like smoke. Someone had tried to poison him. John's heart pounded. He stared at the cup, the golden drink still glowing, his throat dry. He whispered, "They want me dead already." The woman's eyes were cold. "Yes, and this is only the beginning." That night, John could not sleep. The chambers they stayed in were beautiful, walls of crystal, air filled with soft light, but shadows danced in every corner. Sounds echoed through the halls, footsteps that vanished when he turned, whispers he could not understand. At one point, he woke to find the window open, the air sharp and cold. He saw a figure standing across the bridge outside, watching, its eyes burning red. When he blinked, the figure was gone. The next day, they walked through the lower streets, markets filled with glowing objects and strange beings. John tried to follow closely, but the crowd pushed. Tall figures moved around him, their faces covered, their hands brushing against him. He felt a sharp sting on his arm. He turned, but no one looked guilty. The woman pulled him aside, her hand on his arm. Her eyes widened when she saw the mark, a thin red line like a burn. "A tracker," she whispered. "Someone touched you with a mark. They will follow you now." John's stomach sank. "Follow me, to kill me." She nodded. "To study you, to weaken us, to wait for the right moment. The hidden threat is everywhere." They returned quickly to her private chambers. She placed her hands over the mark, light shining from her palms. The burn faded, the tracker gone. John looked at her, fear mixing with anger. How long can this go on? How many times will they try? Her voice was steady, but her eyes told the truth. "Until we break, or until we prove ourselves stronger." John sat down, his hands shaking. "I'm not a warrior. I'm just a man. I can't fight all this." She knelt in front of him, her silver eyes close to his. "Do not think like that. You are human, and that is more than enough. Humans fight not with strength, but with will. You adapt, you survive. That is why they fear you. That is why they want you gone." Her words gave him little comfort, but they stayed in his mind. Days passed, and the threats grew worse. At night, strange creatures crawled along the walls, leaving trails of fire. During the day, messages appeared on the crystal glass, written in blood-red light. "Human must die." Once, when they traveled to a temple bridge, a shadow leapt from the towers, striking fast. John fell back, but the woman moved like lightning, her hand glowing with silver fire. She struck the shadow and it fell, crumbling into dust before it hit the ground. John's breath shook. "What was that?" She answered coldly. "An assassin, sent by one of my rivals. They will not stop." John stared at her, the fear inside him turning into something else, anger. "Why don't you tell the council? Why don't you show them what's happening?" Her face hardened. "Because the council does not care. They want us to fail. They want to see if we can survive the game. If we die, it only proves them right. If we live, then we become dangerous. Too dangerous." John felt the weight of her words. This was not only about her enemies, this was about the whole system, the whole city waiting for him to fall. That night, as they sat together in silence, John touched the silver mark on his hand, glowing faintly in the dark. "They will come again, won't they?" She looked at him, her voice soft, almost gentle. "Yes, they will. But now you know, the hidden threat is not just outside, it is everywhere. In every look, every word, every shadow. Trust no one but me." John nodded slowly, his fear still there, but something else growing, a fire inside. He was tired of running, tired of being hunted. If the hidden threat was everywhere, then maybe he had to become the threat in return. And deep inside, he began to wonder. Maybe this was why she had chosen him, not because he was weak, but because he could become something stronger. The hidden threat surrounded him, but for the first time he thought, Maybe I can survive this. The days in Orath became heavier with each sunrise. The hidden threats never stopped. Assassins in the shadows, poisoned cups, whispers in the streets. But John began to change. Fear still lived in him, but it no longer ruled him. Each trial forced him to stand taller, to speak louder, to act braver than he ever believed possible. Still, the city was restless, the council was restless, and his enemies were waiting for the moment when the lie of his marriage would break. That moment came sooner than John expected. The great hall of Orath was filled again. The council had called for a gathering. Nobles, warriors, merchants, all filled the shining chamber, their glowing eyes turning toward John and the alien woman as they entered. Silence fell, the air sharp with tension. The armored alien who had doubted them from the start stepped forward, his voice like iron. Enough deception, enough lies. This human is no husband. He is a fraud, a tool, bought and used, and today I will prove it before all of Orath. The crowd erupted in whispers, some nodding, some laughing, others demanding proof. John felt sweat on his neck, his stomach twisting. This was the moment they had feared. The armored alien raised a hand and a screen of light appeared, images shining across it. John saw himself on Earth, alone in his broken apartment. He saw the woman arriving. He saw the deal, her offering money, him agreeing, the truth displayed before everyone. Gasps filled the hall. The voices of aliens thundered. Fraud, betrayal, shame. John's heart sank, his lie ripped open, his fear rising. But then something else rose with it, anger. The alien woman stepped forward, her voice strong. He is my husband. The bond is sealed. The council accepted it. His words, his courage, his spirit, they make the bond true. The armored alien laughed coldly. No, it was all an act. The human is nothing. Look at him, weak, trembling, pathetic. Is this the creature you call a partner? Is this the man you trust? The crowd jeered, eyes burning into John. He wanted to shrink, but then his fists clenched, his chest burned with fire. He stepped forward before the council, his voice loud, trembling at first, but growing stronger. You think I am weak. You think I am nothing. Maybe I was. On Earth I was invisible. No one cared. No one noticed me. I was a man with nothing. But here, standing in this hall, I am not invisible anymore. I am human, and humans do not bow. We do not break. We fight. The hall fell silent. The alien stared, shocked that the human dared to speak. John continued, his voice like a blade. You call me a fraud, but what are you? Hiding behind power, behind laws, behind fear. You try to kill me in shadows, poison me at your tables, but I am still here. I am still standing, and I will keep standing, because humans do not stop. We do not quit. We rise again and again until the world itself breaks before us. The silence stretched long, then a wave of whispers filled the chamber, not angry now, but uncertain. Some aliens stared with wide eyes, others with fear. The counselors leaned forward, their glowing eyes unreadable. The armored alien growled, his voice shaking with rage. Empty words, nothing more. But John did not back down. He took another step forward, his voice sharp. Maybe they are words, but they are mine, spoken with truth, not fear, and that is something you will never understand. The alien woman's silver eyes glowed, pride in her gaze. She whispered softly, only for him. You have turned their doubt into fear. The shadowed counselor raised his hand. The hall fell silent once more, his voice deep. The bond stands, the human stands. Whether fraud or truth, he has shown courage, and courage is power. The armored alien tried to argue, but the counselor silenced him. The judgment was made. John was not cast out, he was not killed, he was accepted, at least for now. As the gathering ended, the alien woman led John out, her steps quick, her grip on his arm strong. When they reached the quiet of the chambers, she turned to him, her voice soft but burning with fire. You changed everything today. They wanted to destroy us, but you gave them something they did not expect. You gave them human defiance, and now they fear you. John sat down, his chest still heavy. I just spoke. I just said what I felt. She smiled faintly. Yes, and that is what makes humans different. You speak truth even in fear, and truth is stronger than weapons. For the first time, John believed it. He had stood in the grand hall of Orath, exposed as a fraud, surrounded by enemies. Yet he had not broken. He had spoken from his heart, and it had turned the tide. But he also knew the game was not over. It had only shifted. The threats would still come, the enemies would still hunt. But now he was not only pretending, he was becoming something else, something stronger. The turning point had come, and John had stepped into it, not as a pawn, but as a player. And the city of Orath, with all its power and danger, would never see him as invisible again. The speech in the grand hall had changed everything. John could feel it in the way the aliens looked at him now, no longer only with hatred or mockery, but with a sharp edge of fear, some even with respect. The council had allowed him to stand. His bond with the alien woman was no longer called a fraud, but that did not mean he was safe. That night, the city of Orath glowed brighter than ever. Ships soared across the sky, towers pulsed with strange light. But for John, the air was heavy. He knew the real battle was not over. It was only beginning. Inside their chambers, the alien woman stood by the window, her silver hair glowing in the light of the towers. She looked calm, but John had learned to see past her mask. Her fingers were tense, her shoulders stiff. She was afraid. "They will not stop," she said quietly. "They saw what you did in the hall. They saw how your words shook them, and now you are more dangerous than before. They will try harder to break us." John nodded slowly, the silver mark on his hand glowing faintly. He whispered, "Then we fight harder." She turned, her eyes soft. "You speak as if you are ready to stay, but you have a choice, John. You can still leave. I can arrange for a ship to take you back to Earth. You would be safe. You would have the money I promised. You would never need to see this world again." The words hung heavy in the air. John's chest tightened. Part of him wanted to say yes, to go back, to walk the streets of Earth as if nothing had happened, to forget the poison, the assassins, the burning eyes of the council. But another part of him burned, a fire that had grown since he first stepped into the ship. He looked at her. "If I leave, what happens to you?" She lowered her gaze. "They will destroy me. Without you, I have no shield, no protection. I will be torn apart by rivals who have waited for years. My name, my house, my life, all gone." John felt his fists clench, anger rising. "So I go home safe, and you die here alone." She said nothing, but her silence was answer enough. The room grew still. John walked to the window looking out at the alien city, glowing like fireflies in the endless dark. He thought of his old apartment, his broken life on Earth, the loneliness, the hopelessness. He thought of how invisible he had been, a man with nothing. And now, here, in this strange and dangerous world, he was seen, he was heard, he was something. His voice came low, almost to himself. "Maybe I was nothing on Earth, but here, I matter." She looked at him, her silver eyes shining. "Yes, you do, more than you know." Suddenly a sound echoed outside. A blast shook the walls, the lights flickered, the door burst open. Alien guards rushed in, their weapons glowing. One of them shouted in their strange tongue, pointing at John. The armored alien stepped in behind them, his face twisted with rage. "The council may have accepted you, human, but I do not. Tonight, this ends." John's heart pounded. The guards raised their weapons. The woman moved in front of him, silver fire glowing in her hands, but John stepped forward, his voice sharp. "No, this ends with me." The armored alien laughed. "What can you do, human? You are no warrior." John raised his hand, the silver mark glowing bright, the bond burned in his skin. His voice thundered. "I am human. I may not be a warrior like you, but I have something you will never have. I refuse to bow, I refuse to break, and I will stand, even if the whole galaxy stands against me." The mark on his hand flared, the light spreading across the chamber. The guards froze, their weapons shaking. The armored alien stepped back, fear flashing in his eyes. The alien woman's voice rang out, strong and fierce. "You see now, the bond is not a lie. It is power, it is truth. He is mine and I am his, and together we will not fall." The guards hesitated, their glowing weapons dimmed. Whispers spread, fear crawling across their faces. The armored alien shouted, but no one moved. No one dared strike. John stood tall, the fire in his chest burning brighter than fear. He realized then that this was his choice, not just to stay or leave, but to become something more, to accept the weight of the bond, the danger, the future. He turned to the woman, his voice steady. "I'm not leaving, not now. Not ever. If they want to destroy us, they will have to go through me first." Her eyes widened, then softened. For the first time she smiled, not the practiced smile of an alien learning human ways, but a real smile, warm and alive. "Then we stand together." The chamber filled with silence. The guards lowered their weapons. The armored alien cursed and fled, shadows retreating into the night. John looked out at the city once more, the towers glowing, the sky alive with strange ships, and he knew his life had changed forever. No longer invisible, no longer a man hiding from the world. He had made his final choice. He would not return to Earth. He would not run. He would stand, here, in the heart of a galaxy that feared him, beside the woman who had bound him, against enemies waiting in every shadow, and deep inside, he felt the truth, the greatest truth of all. Humans were never weak, never nothing. Humans were fire in the dark, and he was ready to burn.